So let's go to the day 5 note sheet. Here it is. We've got graphing, which should be review for most of you, but we'll refresh your memory. We've got a coordinate plane. So coordinate plane is formed by two real number lines that intersect at a right angle. You got the x-axis, which is the horizontal line, and then you've got the y-axis, which is the vertical line. And when you plot points, the first number is always x, the second number is always y. X will tell you to go left if it's a negative, right if it's a positive, and then y will have you go up if it's positive and down if it's negative. And the origin is right here where the axes intersect. That point is always 0, 0. So we're going to practice a little bit. We're going to be figuring out where these points go and then what quadrant they're in. There are 4 quadrants to a graph. Quadrant 1, I'm just going to put Q and then the Roman numeral I, that's 1. That's quadrant 1. This is quadrant 2. Down here on the bottom left is quadrant 3. And then bottom right is quadrant 4. So if we have something like 5, -2, first number tells you to go left or right. Since it's positive, you'll go right. Second number tells you to go up or down. Since it's negative, we will go down. So from the origin, you go right 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down 1, 2. Once you plot your point, make sure you label it with the letter that's next to it. It's what in quadrant 4, so we put 4 right here. -2, -3 means we're going to be going to the left 2 and down 3. So we go left 1, 2, down 1, 2, 3, and we put B there. And that's in quadrant 3. All right, -4, 4, that means we're going to go left, and then we go up. So we go left 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you put a C, and that's in quadrant 2. I'm going to skip D. Let's say that you had E was at like 0, 3. All right, 0, 3 means you would not go left or right at all, and you would go up 3. So instead of going left or right, you just go straight up 1, 2, 3, and you would put a point there. We'll call it E. And if it asks you like what quadrant it's in, it's not actually in a quadrant, it's kind of in between. Instead, you would just say that it's on the y-axis. So if it doesn't actually land in a quadrant, it lands on an axis, then just put that on the line instead. And I think you'll see that on the homework. All right, and then we got the reverse of it. We've got the given the points, what are the coordinates? So like A, you would go to the right 2 and then not up or down. So that would be 2, 0. B, you're going left 1, 2, 3 and down 1, 2, 3. Left is negative, down is also negative. So -3, -3. Let's see, let's do E. If you're at E, you're not going left or right, you're just going straight down 1, 2, 3, 4. So none left or right is 0, and down 4 would be -4. So that's how you plot the points. All right, and then the second page. We talked about roses are red on Friday, and we want to label the axes for the roses are red. So if you remember, you have the number of roses that they're ordering, the number of roses, and then you have the cost of the roses. All right. When we talked about the number of roses and the cost of the roses, we talked about how the number of roses was the independent variable, and we talked about how the cost of the roses was the dependent variable. Cost is going to depend on how many roses you order. Now, anytime that you're trying to figure out where to put them, x-axis, y-axis, the independent variable is always your x. The dependent variable is always your y. So if we had to label a graph, number of roses would go along the x-axis, and the cost of the roses would go along the y-axis. All right, let's let's see. It says what values make sense for the number of roses. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow, so we don't need to worry about that. And the only other thing we're going to do real quick, we're not going to do this one. We're just going to do this one graph, and then we're going to call it a day. There is a third page of this note sheet, but we're not going to do that today. All right, we've got cost of roses from Roses Are Red, and we've got the number ordered and the cost in dollars. You're going to be making a lot of graphs throughout this unit. One of the things you need to make sure you do is that you label your axes accordingly. So number ordered, all right, so you're going to have the number ordered, that would go along the x-axis. The left side, by the way, of your table is always x, and the right side of your table is always y. All right, and then the cost is going to go along the other side here. And then you need a title. So since this is called Roses Are Red, we could do cost from Roses Are Red. So you're going to see that. And then we have to come up with a scale. When you come up with a scale, make sure that it is the same number of units apart for every single space. Common mistakes that I see is I'll see something like 1 and then maybe 2, and then it jumps and starts going by like 2s, and then 4, 6, 8, something like that. That isn't an even amount. It goes 1, 1, and then 2 and 2. You need to make sure that you go an even amount of spaces. So if we're going between 12 and 23, and it looks like it's about every 12 units, I mean, you could certainly do a scale by 12s. You could even go by 6s if you wanted to. I'm going to go by 6s just cause 30, 36. And then the cost is going between about $29 and $47. It's kind of up to you how you want to do that one. I'm going to do maybe 5s. Pick something where you can fit everything on there. 15, 20. 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, a little off the grid there, but 50. So I'm going by 5s. And then you just need to plot the points. 12, 29, so 12, 29, as close as you can, obviously. 24, 38, 36, 47, so that's going to be way up here at the top. 32, 44, 32, 44, and then 23, 37, 25. All right, so you don't need to connect the points together or anything. You just need to plot the points, and we can see that obviously the more you order, the higher your price is going to go. And that's everything that you need in order to get full points on a graph. All right, now the third page we're going to skip over, but one of the things that you're going to see on your homework is you're going to see a problem like this at the end. It's going to be a word problem, and it's going to have the page kind of cut into 4 sections. And up here in the upper left, it's going to have concrete representation. Concrete representation means you make a drawing. So like what we did one where we had the vase cost $10 and then the flowers cost $2, you got to draw that out. So that's concrete. Up in the upper right hand corner, I believe you're going to see numeric. So they're going to have you fill in a table. All right, and you just fill in the numbers that are in the table. That's going to go up here. Then you're going to see algebraic in the lower left. Algebraic means you're going to come up with an equation. So like y equals, if it was a $10 vase plus $2 per rose, you would end up being y equals 10 plus 2x. $10 plus $2 per rose. Then in the bottom right, you're going to see the graphical representation. These graphs, you need to make sure that you have a title. You want to have a consistent scale. And you want to plot the points that are in this table only. You don't need to plot anything other than what's in this table. Whatever numbers they give you, those are the ones you're going to plot. So title, scale, oh, and label your axes as well. All right, the only thing that's kind of weird is in this diamond, people always seem to forget it. This is going to be your dependency statement. So you're going to say blank depends on blank. So if it was the roses, it would say your cost depends on the number of roses you order. So you will see a problem like this on your homework. Speaking of your homework, you have two worksheets you're going to do. You have worksheet 4 and you have worksheet 5. But you only need to do the evens from both. So you only need to do problems like 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. So only do the evens on worksheet 4 and only do the evens on worksheet 5. And that's what will be due tomorrow. All right, so that's what you need to work on, and hopefully these videos have helped. See you soon.